things, real estate, so rentals, whatever you guys want to get out of it. So no agenda whatsoever. You ready, Max?
I think so.
Yes.
Hello.
This is weird. This is a little weird. How y'all doing tonight? Today, the morning. Sorry, long night kind of. But thank you guys for coming out. I was in St. Louis. I'm in St. Louis for a bull riding event actually, and it's a long story. Yeah. So at the Enterprise Center, there's a PBR event yesterday and tonight. I own a bull riding team. So I travel the country with those guys sometimes on the weekend, and Kristina's here. So I was like, listen, I'm coming to town, let's do this. And thanks for everybody at this co-working space, and Kristina that just put this together. The idea of a co-working space is amazing. I'm actually building one myself back home just so I could be around the energy myself. So I assume everybody's here to talk about real estate, right? Right? Have you ever been to one of my pop-ups before? No. Great. Cool. Yeah, it's you been to New York? Are you okay? So it's real random. I have no structure to this. We literally stand up here, and you guys know Kristina. She's the queen in St. Louis, so she runs this area. And when I'm passing through, I try to link up with people I know. So I associate with Kristina, and she speaks at my events, and we hang out in personal time because I know she actually does this business. She actually probably does more deals than I do on a monthly basis. So she runs the she's a wealth of knowledge, and she was actually schooling me. Actually, the Airbnb I'm staying at, she met me at the Airbnb. She walks in, she was like, I wholesale this house. So
I was like, what the?
yeah, she's telling me, she goes, up the basement. She goes, so
let's go down there. Let's go in the basement.
So that's cool, man. So to see that and that's why there's a full impact as a wholesaler, right? She found something that somebody wanted to sell or needed to sell. Actually was defaced, right? It was
It's a house on Wyoming. I don't know if you guys, there was the whole front was falling down, so we wholesaled that.
Yeah, so they fixed it up.
Real Estate's the one that bought it, and they rehabbed it, and they're doing an Airbnb out of it now.
So yeah, they dumped a lot of money in that property, and it's Airbnb, so now it's another tax-producing asset that this city has, and that's cool. So it started with the wholesale deal all the way to I'm staying in an Airbnb now. It was like $250 a night too. So, but it's a huge house. I got the PBR team staying with me. So, but other than that, man, there's really no structure to this. We just like to chop it up and just talk about real estate. There's a lot of content online for me and other people. Sometimes it's hard to differentiate the real from the fake. And there's a lot of white noise. Sometimes you get half of an instruction or you don't understand it. At these meetups, it's a time for you to be very selfish and ask questions that you actually want to know the answer to. I don't care how simple you may think it is or how complex you think it is. And guess what? I'm not a guru, so if I don't know the answer, I don't know the answer for you. So I'm actually growing this business every single day, and I'm pretty sure you do too. I don't claim to know everything. I learn a lot. I lose thousands of dollars every month by learning, but I make thousands of dollars every month by knowing what I already know as well too. So I hope that real estate changes everybody's lives in this room how it's changed mine. Most of you know my stories. A couple years ago, I was broke living back home with mom. Now I run a couple multi-million-dollar businesses, and it's all because of real estate. Yeah, and on a PBR team. So, fire away with your questions. Kind of just raise your hand, shoot off your question, however you want to do it, and either I or Kristina will answer to the best of our ability. Cool? Questions?
All right, come on now.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, what did you do to once you get to that seeing of wholesaling that you're just I'm with my partner right here. We're a two-man show. Mm-hmm. We cannot be everywhere all the time.
Yeah.
So I've reached a ceiling that I can't pass, and as far as wholesaling. So what would you give me as an advice?
So you're saying because you're a two-person operation, because of your people or your staff, you can't go beyond that? Or are you saying?
Pretty much right now I haven't scaled it. It's just two of us, to be honest. Mm-hmm. So I know scaling it would be the next step, but it would be hiring call callers, hiring people to walk my properties for me. What would be your next step?
Yeah, so that's interesting because I'm actually, even though we do X amount of deals a month, I'm actually growing my staff right now. It's the hardest thing you can ever do. Any entrepreneur ever knows that the hardest thing you could ever do is hire people to run the business as passionate as you run it, right? So what I've been doing is documenting everything that I do. I recently put out a video and I broke my business into 4 quadrants, right? And I think it's acquisitions, dispositions, admin, marketing, right? So once you, thank you. So once you list the marketing, all the marketing stuff that you're doing, right? This is your lead generation. Then you start documenting exactly how you do that, right? So if it's simple as putting out bandit signs, you document exactly how you do that. It could be by video, by word if you like to write, or or both, right? I like doing video because I hate to write, and then I can actually show people exactly what I'm doing. And then if you're talking about like, you know, like say you're one of your marketing methods is you post 5 Craigslist ads every day. Well, get that on video and all your processes in video, every single one, and document your entire business. It takes a while, but it's worth it. Once you have it, now when you start to fire yourself from certain tasks, right? Because as a 2-person operation, if you are using bandit signs, you are putting them out at night. If you are doing Craigslist ads, you are doing them yourself. If you're driving for dollars, you are doing it yourself. So you have to start eliminating those things so that other people can do that for you and you can start to grow.
I would just outsource those like smaller tasks.
Yeah.
So like when you break it down into your business, it's like outsourcing like the bandit signs, and there's like an app, you know, Simple Crew or something. Yeah, that's a little bit cost up front, but if you're getting the return on investment on your bandit signs, then it doesn't really matter. So just scale what works is what I always say. Like don't try to scale something that you haven't done yet.
Yeah.
Like scale what works and then eliminate like the small, minute processes off of your plate, because you're worth more per hour. I know the kind of volume that you do, so you're worth way more per volume, you know, per hour than you would pay, you know, a VA to post on Craigslist or whatever that costs, whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever you hate doing the most, and it's not really, I say whatever you've mastered, the last thing you should be letting go is your acquisition side of the business, right? You actually going out on an appointment, acquiring the contract, because that's where the money's made. Mm-hmm. So you don't want, that's the last thing. You should be firing yourself last from that. I go on appointments sometimes, but not as much as I used to in the last year. So, you know, I'm slowly firing myself from that position. And to be honest with you, I enjoy going out. And,
it's my favorite part.
Yeah, I enjoy going out to the houses and negotiating and not getting 50% off of what they're asking. Like it just feels good when you go home and sleep. So.
But I mean, that's also like I have someone who walks on my house. Chauncey walks on my houses for me, and it's because he's watched me do it so many times that I trust him with my life, like literally. So you can't trust everyone like that. And like he said at the beginning, it's like not everyone takes the pride in your business, but I know like Chauncey's just as invested as I am in my business. So yeah, I would put that last if you don't have someone that you trust like that.
I hope that helped.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yes, sir.
How would you assess the market here in St. Louis?
How would I? I think she's probably the better. You saying any market, or are you saying?
This market.
Yeah, that's her all day long.
I mean, it really depends what area you're talking about. So we have so many different things going on where I like to put myself up against anyone. Number one, cash flow market. I mean, I bring so much money out of country and out of state.
So break that down, maybe for people that understand. When you say a cash flow market, what does that really mean?
So rentals. So that's like one of the things that I've been like really, really preaching to St. Louis, period. Is a lot of times like you'll see that there's a house with a tenant in it and you're like, oh, I can't wholesale that. Or you'll be like, oh, there's a tenant, like I'm not gonna mess with it. Well, just so you know, Kristina buys a shit ton of tenant occupied houses, so just keep them for me. But yeah, so cash flowing is like with a tenant or with that in mind. And it might be vacant right now, but it'll be, you know, it'll get rehabbed and then tenanted with that. So what I'm talking about is Jennings, Delwood. Delwood's kind of either or, really depends what price point you're at. So like that's what I'm talking about. Like your Spanish Lake, either or. Sometimes there's some first time home buyers there, but there's also a lot of rentals now. So it's nice because I can tell you exactly what cities and municipalities I'm talking about. Northwoods, some parts of Pine Lawn, like North City, like things like that are all transitioning. So we have a lot of rentals that a lot of buyers out of state and out of country are trying to buy right now. So you guys can really capitalize on that. But then we have Tower Grove right here, where they're putting up Airbnbs, flipping houses, Kirkwood, Ladue, all these other upscale neighborhoods that we have literally everything in our market. We literally touch on almost every segment, like on a large scale, not on a small, like, oh, only one little piece of it is cash flowing. So, did that answer your question, or do you want me to expand on that? Jay, it's Jay, right?
Yes.
Yeah, did that cover? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, basically what she's going at, there's a lot of wholesale deals, but there's a lot, you can still wholesale cash flowing assets, especially because the ROI on the cash flow is just huge compared to most places in the country.
Yep.
And you saying you're getting money from out of the country.
Great.
I mean, that's where she's niched herself in right there as that. So that's awesome, actually. I don't do much of that. Yes, ma'am.
So if somebody's brand new, how do you determine value and repair costs?
So for me, a value, so you heard the word comps, right? Value really depends on, one, you should really, reason why I preach driving for dollars is you start to learn areas and neighborhoods. And I think that's more important than an actual comp of a number, right? But then when you break it down and you actually start looking at comps, you want to look at things in that neighborhood or within like a half a mile that's sold recently in the last 6 months. You know, roughly same square footage, roughly same built, same bedroom and bath. You want to, and that's what they mean by comparable. So you're able to find, because what you're looking for is what this house can be worth after it's fixed up. That's your main thing, right? And then you start your negotiating down from there. Repairs is a tricky one. I've never been able to give a real good answer, but it takes some legwork. Unless you just had some construction history or anything like that, I would partner up with a contractor and pay them or have them walk through a house with you 3 or 4 times so you can start getting the idea, because your job is just to get a rough number. You don't need to be a contractor. You just need to know that, hey, look, a standard size windows in St. Louis install is $350, right? Flooring is $2 a square foot installed, whatever that number is, you know? And bathrooms, just say a rough full bath is like $8,000 or, you know, whatever. And then you just have those rough numbers and you start putting it together. Like, I literally don't turn it into a science. I walk into a house, it's either 20, 25, 30, 40, or 50.
Yep.
Like, I just know, and it's pretty much spot on where you're gonna be at. But it's really not up to you to give a repair cost either, right? I stopped throwing out repair costs on my deals because I don't want it to seem like, I don't want a buyer to hold me accountable for saying it's 50 and he goes in there and it's 80, right? So I just try to get a ballpark just so I can negotiate with that. And I just try to slam dunk the deal so it don't matter what the repairs are.
Yeah. I mean, if you have enough spread, and it is kind of hard with those like tight cash flowing deals when our ARV is only 45 grand or something like that. And so it's hard to like reverse engineer that to see if it is actually something that makes sense. But when it comes to repairs, like honestly, like there's a ton of buyers in here. So if for some reason you have a deal and like we could walk the house with you and I'll be like, hey, it's gonna be like, my cost is about 10 grand. And so we'd like just spit that off because it's something that we would wanna buy anyways. So then that way it's a learning experience for you. It's hard to get a contractor to walk with you every time, especially if you're not compensating them. Like, that's a bad idea. Thankfully, I had a friend who was a contractor, so that was nice, but that's not a good idea to be like, hey, like, can you walk this house? I might buy it, but you're not really gonna buy it. So.
And I think if you kill the seller with kindness and they like you, if you think it's a $10,000 rehab, negotiate on a $20,000 rehab, right? Like,
So it's plus.
because contractors, people that flip houses for a living, don't pay what they pay, right? So if I had a house and I go on the Yellow Pages or Google and I type in new bathroom, a guy's gonna come to my house and charge me $13,000. For me, in my market, I can get it done for $2,900.
Yep.
So there's just a difference. So whatever you think it is, double it, and negotiate based on that. Yes, sir.
I'm a big fan, Max.
Thank you.
Right now, I got 2 questions. One, I'm in the midst of chasing tax liens here in St. Louis, third sale, second sale tax lien. Can I get some information, some of your insight on that? Also, if any buyers are in here, I have a property and
It's fine, go ahead. Go ahead.
Swansea, Illinois, though, not Illinois.
There's some Illinois people in here.
Okay.
If anyone wants to buy in Illinois, you can talk to him. So tax liens. So, when you say you're trying to buy the tax liens, are you gonna go to the auction in August and bid on it?
Well,
Or you're trying to get it before it goes to tax?
before, the option is,
So with that, just whenever you buy it, whenever your bid is approved, then you would be able to do what's called a quiet title suit after that.
Okay.
But if it's before that, so just for general, this is really good information anyways. So if someone's delinquent, they're going to tax sale, whether it's first tax sale, which means they're 3 years past due, or after, before post third. So that entire process, you can actually, if the tax certificate has been purchased at the auction, the seller still has the right to redeem in 1 year, okay? There are title companies in St. Louis that will allow you to redeem at the same time of selling. Who is it?
True title.
True Title.
So you're saying you can go knowing that there's a tax lien within the year, you can get it under contract and know that what the number is and put that into your factor, and at the day of closing that is taken care of.
Yes, they can redeem at day of closing.
Taxes at closing.
Instead of the seller having to go with $5,000 up front, because I used to do this all the time, where it's like, all right, let's go, and then you gotta sign this promissory note, and let's just all
Lend out $5,000? Yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
So working with a company like True Title that understands this business is important to have a company like that or a person like that on your team, because they will work with you. Yes, sir.
Would you say you need to support those kind of companies more than the others?
100%, right? Because if because if I don't know what the affiliation is, but
He don't talk to Rios here.
okay, yeah. No, that's good.
I appreciate the help, brother.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
I just want to say amen.
No, he's 100% right, because if you drive the business to that company, they're around longer versus other people when you walk in and won't even touch a wholesale deal. These guys are going all the way to reinstating tax liens at closing. Like, you should be driving all your business there. Because, yeah, I mean, and I don't know anybody from there, but it makes sense. Like, in my market, we have a couple attorneys that they'll work with any wholesaler ins and out, give them contracts and
Help, even find buyers.
yeah. I mean, it's just because they have the network, so you gotta go to companies like that. Yeah.
See, you mentioned contracts. What are some of the contingencies that you put in your contracts personally to protect you and your LLC?
So I don't know about here, but where I'm from, we do a due diligence, right? So I used to not put due diligence fee in my contract. I pay $100 due diligence. That $100 usually buys me 10 to 15 days. Seller really doesn't care, right? And because I give $100, that's my ultimate get out. I don't even really have to put any other language in the contract, because if I'm not getting it popping in 15 days, it ain't no deal, right? So I mean, $100 buys me 15 days, 10 to 15 days. I could cancel any time with I just lose $100. That's written. That $100 check I write to them at the signing of the contract.
So that's something from the Texas Board of Contracts that they used to do, was like they would do like a due diligence period and earnest money.
I
so
do
they were
both.
two separate numbers basically. So I mean, it does allow you to buy time to do something like that. But I mean, inspection period, that's usually what we put in our contract. And then I always say that a walkthrough needs to be like in writing. I have to approve the walkthrough.
And so recently we used the due diligence period to go get an actual inspector to come out. He charged me like $500. I need to go back and talk to him though. But
There's some here in St. Louis.
yeah, he went out, he did a whole 30-page report with pictures, and I handed it to the seller, and I was like, there's some things both of you and I missed. We got a $20,000 reduction on that property because of the cost for that. And we wholesaled it and made $26,000. So we were gonna make $6,000, and a $500 investment made us $26,000. Right, so, you know, that was the first time we ever did that, so I'll just pass it on, and it's probably something we'll try to do that more of.
It's worth it to do an inspection on your own home, just so you get the list that those people go through when they inspect your house. And then you take that to your next house and you follow that same list. It'll make a difference in your business, because it's gonna look for things you would normally never think to look for. So get your own house inspected if you don't have one to go do. And learn from that person, walk around with them, get the words that they're saying, hear what they're doing, and use it yourself.
Yeah, I mean, listen, $500 made me 20.
It's like $300 here in St. Louis.
Yeah,
You're gonna get about $300.
that's what I wanted to pay. That's why I need to talk to that guy.
I'll send you my invoice and you can be like, hey bro, she's paying $300.
So, Yes, sir.
So my shameless plug is we're starting a RIA club right here March 6th at the space. What is your take on RIA clubs for somebody new in the business or somebody who's been doing this for a while, like the networking aspect of RIA clubs?
So here's my thing. I like new RIAs. I don't like the good old boy RIA. There's a difference, right?
Absolutely.
So I don't actually attend any RIAs, but I created my own synergy in my market because there's a difference, right? And I'm just speaking for my market. They see us as a threat, big time. But the new RIAs that are creative, everybody's thinking, they embrace this stuff, right? Because it's just like everybody's in the real estate. It just everybody gets more deals, more transactions are happening. The city's popping. Everybody's making more money. You know, it's just there's a difference. So a RIA, being a part of like-minded people, anyways, I don't care what it costs to get in it or what it's worth it, 100%.
Yeah. So the launch party is March 6th. It's going to be here in this space. It's the city RIA. So there is going to be some county stuff, but we're really trying to focus on city because so much of us are doing stuff in the city. We're going to be focusing on like opportunity zones, which is like a huge buzzword. Max and I were talking about it. So yeah, so it's a really good North City revitalization, which is something that if most of you know me, like I'm super passionate about North City. So we're going to be talking about that kind of stuff. But it's just gonna be networking like this. Even when we get off of here, like I want you guys to like meet each other, talk to each other. Like this is why we do this.
100%.
So you guys can join venture on deals, so that you guys know who's buying, who's selling, like what is going on in this market. Because yeah, on Facebook, like everything is on Facebook, but like to meet each other,
gotta know people
and like interact and like see where someone's head is at is way more important.
Because I'm on a plan.
Tickets to that, flippingstl.com. Go there.
For the
sign
RIA.
up. Free tickets on flippingstl.com.
Because that's the real reason I do these meetups, so that this continues after I'm on a flight tomorrow at 11 o'clock. I probably won't be back in St. Louis till next year.
It's cold here.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? So it's like, so the point is you guys have to create this group of energy and just exchange numbers. And look, you guys are gonna run into each other in restaurants, and your conversations are gonna be different. Because I know when I started out in wholesaling, it was a very lonely journey. None of my friends wanted to talk about real estate. Couldn't talk to it about family. And it's just like you just go around almost talking to yourself about it. So being able to talk to other people just to have those conversations, and you're gonna lose a lot of friends too over that you just care about real estate so much now.
I mean, your mindset just shifts. Like, it's a completely different mindset to like see things in a different light and like you're just thinking about different things that your friends are thinking.
When you drive and you looking at houses and stuff
we were like driving and you were like asking questions.
I still do it now. Somebody's in the car with you, you're not listening. Turn the music down. I can't see. So it's just,
But that was how we were. We were in New York in December, and like we were all like, okay, tell us how much that house cost.
Yeah.
And that one, $5 million for that.
yeah, we're running it. I open my phone on Zillow and just go down the street in Uber and just have people drive me around and look at houses when I go to cities, just because I want to know like different markets and what things are worth. But man, when you get that real estate brain, it drives you crazy. And it's good to have other people that talk to you and talk about real estate. Yes, sir.
So what do you look for when you're looking at property or land or lots or something?
Like just driving?
Yeah, I mean, like what are you looking for, like to upgrade or that makes the value of it go down?
So, I mean, the typical things, like when I go drive for dollars, was something that I actually still do because I don't watch sports anymore. So my Sundays are all mine. I do what I want to do with them. And usually I'm either listening to a course or driving for dollars. I think that, it's pretty simple, at least in my market, when I can see something that needs repair, even if it has a car in the driveway. I just look for if I can see right through the house, that's number one, right? Like,
well, that's like 80% of St. Louis, so don't use that as a good indication.
Not that it doesn't have walls, but most people put curtains on their house or something like that. So, did you?
I mean, like land.
Land.
Yeah.
So okay, so he's saying land. Okay, I get it now. So land is all. I can do it just from looking at the tax map. Like one thing that I'm real big on that I don't talk about a lot is looking at zonings. Properties. There's a lot of properties that are misused in the zone, especially when cities are converting. You might have like a duplex on something that's rated for a quad, right? Everybody's passing it up because they don't want to offer what the person wants, but she don't even know or he don't even know that the property is actually worth quad money versus a duplex money, if that makes sense, right? So a developer will come in and knock that quad down or build on top of the duplex and make it a quad, and just the property value just went up like crazy. So just studying, a lot of this stuff starts on the computer. You know, a lot of, and learning the rules and the ins and outs, like learning the tax system, learning the post 3 or whatever she called it. I just got obsessed with learning the tax code and how they have to foreclose in my area, and it made everything easy. I was going to, and just the stuff that I'm doing, just learning that, I picked up, you know, extra 20, 30,000 without actually doing anything a month by learning, by just reading the state statute.
By being a resource, because it's the same thing with that. Like whenever you know the tax code, I could be like, hey, like, yeah, I know, like you're coming at me and you're saying, well, they already took it for taxes. Okay,
Cool.
well, if I know that you could redeem it, and I know that we can go to True Title and they can redeem it, you know, in weeks, everything that you thought was the truth is now not.
Yeah.
So, but it's like having that competitive advantage and being a resource to people, and that's why it's so important to know the foreclosure process, to know what an auction date means, to know what pre-foreclosure is, to know all these things, because then you can come into a room and be like, hey, this is how I can help you, and this is why. Like, this is the information.
Because they call you as the expert.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get in that house, you got to know more than they know, or you're going to look stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more than just like the after repair value, the cost of this. It's like, yo, what situation? We're problem solvers,
Yep.
right? Like we're brain surgeons. If you don't know how to cut open the head and fix the brain, you don't need to go on that call.
Yep.
So I would think a lot of people you spend more time educating yourself and just reading the boring stuff.
Yep.
Because there's money all in between those lines.
Yep. And I mean, and there's a catch-22 with that of like not taking action.
Correct.
Because you're like so entrenched in like learning the foreclosure process. And let me be honest, like unless you are partnering with someone, like you're bringing someone a deal, like, are you Gabriel? Yeah, okay. So Gabriel and I just talked about a property that's a short sale and something else. Like, I would not want him to go through that process by himself, because he would have probably dropped the ball because he doesn't know what the process looks like. So it's like, if you're gonna partner with someone like Jason, there's a bunch of high-level people in here, like, then you can leverage those people and like their years of research, and you don't have to go do the research yourself. Yeah, you might lose a little bit of money. I mean, he's still gonna get his assignment fee, but it's the cost of doing business. So, I mean, it's learning on the job basically, but at the same time, I wouldn't have gone to Gabriel and been like, hey, this is how you do a short sale. Like, I wouldn't have done that. He brought me a deal, so now I'm walking him through the process.
He brought you value, and you gave value back.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it's like, it's different than just going, and you might not get a foreclosure. So it's like, do you want to spend the time digging into something before you even get that? So it's kind of the cost value, speed of implementation. Mm-hmm.
Kristina, earlier you talked about like money coming in from out of the state, out of the country. How do you like find those contacts for people to partner with if you're going beyond wholesaling?
Yeah.
And you're at the point where you're investing and you want to hold?
So everyone that I have helped that is investing into me, I've actually wholesaled to. Yeah. So that's how you do it. You add value. So that's what happens so many times, is that we're so focused on a small little lick. Like, we're so focused on $3,000, $5,000. You're so focused on the short term.
And that starts with a conversation from a buyer.
That started with a wholesale. One, he asked me for a favor. I did the favor. He asked me if I could drive by a property, which I wouldn't do normally. Because, I mean, that's the average person thinks, why would I go do that for someone? I'm not making money off of that. I did it anyway. I sold him a couple more. Now, I'm 40% owner. I get equity on every fucking deal. I mean, it's a no-brainer for me. So it's building that from the beginning. It's like, don't be so focused on $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 that you forget that there's $100 million on the table. I'm not in this for this year.
Nope.
You guys are gonna see me forever.
That's right.
He said, that's right.
That's my hype man. That's Chris.
But no, there's definitely a long play to this real estate, and that's why I tell a lot of people, like, if you're getting in this just for the money now, which some of us need money now, right? Everybody's got bills.
And you can get
but there's you got to think for the long term. There's a long end to this, very long end to this.
And it's even the reason why Max is building his rental portfolio. I mean, him and I both started just wholesaling. That's how I made all of my money, was just wholesaling.
Yep.
I didn't know that I wanted to, I knew that I wanted to own rental properties, but I always thought I had to have buttloads of money. And then I started implementing seller financing, subject to different strategies that allow me to, have different options when presenting to a seller and building a portfolio. So, yeah.
There and then there, sir. Right there.
Go
I
ahead.
got a question about the subject too. What would be a good situation, or how would you go about doing the subject to for this specific deal?
Okay, so I want to be very upfront that you can really fuck it up. Okay.
Yep.
So just be really careful. So one of our really good friends, his name's Brian Irigbu. He has a YouTube channel. If anyone has, yeah, House Buying Brian on Instagram. I'm telling you. And he goes in depth on like subject to and things like that. So
Your name Chris, isn't it?
Chris Monroe.
Got it. All right. Go ahead.
He said, "You know me."
His Facebook personality matches his actual real personality. I get it now.
So it's gonna be when, honestly, I've taken subject to deals for like super high equity. Like even if there's like right now, like the house I live in, I bought it, the balance on it's like $80-something thousand. My mortgage payment's $627 a month, and it's worth about $150,000.
I just did the same thing.
It doesn't have to be a no equity position. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. So it really depends on, you have to look at like the more, if you're gonna live in it, then the cash flow doesn't necessarily matter, right? Because you're gonna live in it. So it's like your mortgage payment. But if you're gonna rent it out, then you wanna make sure that the rent minus the mortgage payment, minus if there's no insurance, taxes, all the stuff, like if you were analyzing a rental. I just did a podcast on analyzing rentals, and there's an analyzer in there that I use in my business right now that we use in our business, yeah. So it has like all the expenses and stuff, but you just really need to analyze it. There's a bunch of different ways. It could be no equity, high equity, mid equity, and equity just means like the difference
between what it's worth and what it's owed.
What it's worth and what it's owed.
And there's the subject to, she's right, you can mess it up. For my whole year and like 4 months, I never did a sub to. My first year, I probably turned away a dozen of them. And I was cool with that, right? Because I would rather just not go to jail than do it right. So when I actually spent the money on educating myself on it, I dove deep on it. I do them now. I had a deal like that, and it's usually where, like, for example, the last one we bought, a married couple built a house, like at the beach or something. They had this house where we were at in Winston-Salem, and they never missed a payment in their life. Yep. They were up to date. They just did not want to have both payments. So it was worth $160 something. They owed $75. And I said, well, if you do it cash, I can pay you about $90. But they wanted to walk away with a $30,000 number. So that was what I was really negotiating. And I said, listen, I can give you $30,000 at closing, but I'm gonna need you to keep that mortgage in place, and I'll make the little small payments. And I rehabbed it. Took me longer than it should have. It took me about a month and about $4,000, and I made $66,000 when I sold it on the back end.
Yep. So I just did one in Florissant just like that.
And I took the $30,000 from a private lender, so that didn't matter. So the $30,000 came from private lender. I made 2 mortgage payments, I think at most, and then put it on the market retail and sold it.
Yeah. And that's a creative option if like the spread is like a little bit tight, or if you don't want to get hard money.
It's just so many, it's just subject to just a tool belt. It's just an exit strategy, another tool in your tool belt. But I take those properties in trust all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so do we. We put them all in trust. Yep.
So the bank don't know what's going on. Well, because we had it sold in on the market, we had it sold in less than 14 days, and then the government shutdown happened, and they had a USDA loan, so the USDA loan couldn't process to the government open, so it took longer than usual, but it was ready to rock.
Mm-hmm.
14 days, yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
How many people on your team?
My team is ridiculous now, man. Yeah, so I have.
But his business is a lot different because he has like a brand. He has a brand, Like he has a Maxwell brand, and then he has his wholesaling business.
Yeah, so I have 10 full-time employees. 3 work just on taking photos and videos of me. I know that's weird, right? Yeah. Huh?
How many just to rehab the house?
I have one carpenter on staff, and everybody else is contractors.
J-Rock in the house?
He's not. Dave's here.
Dave is media.
Dave's, yeah. So Dave does a lot of the flying with me.
I have a question. With the HUD homes, can you wholesale a HUD home?
No. I mean, you can, but you're saying HUD homes that are like auction.com, like those kind of things, right?
Well, like under, I guess, urban development, there's the ownership of this home.
So it's like on the MLS. Where are you getting them? How are you sourcing them?
Driving for dollars, and then I look it up, and then it says the ownership is.
And have you contacted them?
I haven't.
So what happens with that is that they're holding on to them.
Yeah.
They're usually not for sale. Yeah.
They're gonna.
So,
There's for retail.
no, they're usually not for sale because they don't want to flood the market with foreclosures.
Yeah, they hold on to them. They got the money. You had a question, sir? Sorry.
Mine was a non-real estate question. I was actually wanting to find out, if somebody wants to grow a YouTube channel,
Yeah.
what kind of, how do you like put your videos out there, content? How do you advertise that to try to grow your YouTube subscribers?
I don't know how it happened, to be honest with you. Because I was lonely. Remember I told you I was lonely? Dead serious. If y'all go back and watch my first video, y'all will see that I was lonely. I was in the car talking to my video camera and decided to put it on YouTube. And it just kind of took off, and then I started doing it more and more and more. And I realized that everybody that was putting out this information was selling something. So I decided to just say, well, I make enough money in real estate, and YouTube ain't gonna pay me, so I'm just gonna go put this stuff out and see what happens. And I think people can tell that I'm really genuine. Like, I don't do it for the money. YouTube does pay me now, but
They didn't pay you ever?
no, they didn't pay for a whole year. They didn't pay me, but I think just being genuine and putting out the information with looking for nothing in return. And
I mean,
that's
he came from a selfish place, but I mean, also too, I mean, let's be honest, like he was the only black guy on
that helped too.
YouTube sharing the information. So, I mean, and that's the whole point of the diverse group, right? It's like a mixed group of people, because if you're just getting the message from someone who doesn't look like you, or maybe their family has been in real estate generations, that story is just not relatable.
Yeah,
So,
and I think
let's be honest,
I think the relatability, and then just putting out the content for free, and that's why I follow Gary Vee's method of how he just gives. So I really just the short answer. I just think just give, and not a lot of people using social media now to sell something, right? And there's eventually a time when you monetize, right? I will make money from the event. Everybody knows that. So I'll spend a lot of money up front to put the event, and it can sell or not sell.
Yep.
So
And that, I mean, that's
taking
part
a
of
risk.
the gamble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's part of the gamble. But I think I could have done a smaller event, but I think the thing is that I wanted to. I could have done another smaller event, like 400, 500 people, but I wanted to get as many people in one room at once to talk about the same thing. Like, I just wanted the city of Dallas to be buzzing about, and I wanted people to go back and change their lives to be able to do that. So that's why we did the event. But YouTube, I see you got the ClickFunnels bag back there. I don't know, is that yours? Yeah. So just be genuine and give, and it comes back tenfold. Because just of me putting out YouTube videos, probably about 30% of my real estate revenue comes from JV deals.
Mine's the same. Yeah, I mean, and I've been doing this for 4 years, and so I still haven't even monetized yet on like anything, really,
Or
as far as
knowledge,
like courses or anything like that. But I've given so much in Facebook groups. I mean, literally, there's probably like 50% of this room has gotten some form of knowledge from me on Facebook.
That's facts.
Yeah. So, but it's from giving.
Absolutely.
But it's coming from a place of like genuine, like wanting to help, and it is true. I mean, Max and I both have similar business models in that a big portion of our business is joint ventures. It's co-wholesaling or buying from wholesalers that allows us to do what we do on a grander scale.
Yep.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
So the real estate market's shifting. How are you shifting your business around the downturn, we'll call it?
So I haven't felt it yet. When you're in a problem fixing business and more problems are coming, we should be happy. right? Not that people are going through problems, but then we have more opportunities to fix more things. Now, our spreads might get smaller because what happens is your buyers are not going to know where the bottom is, so they're going to be more cautious. But true cash buyers, literally people with dead money, money in the bank, money under the mattress, are going to buy assets that perform, period. Right? So the guys with hard money, the guys with all this stuff, yeah, they're going to go away because it's going to be harder to get money from these other guys. But the true cash buyers, this is when they win. I got money this time, so I'm hoping this one I win this time. Last time I was broke, you know? So I hope this is a time when, if it does happen, that I can buy assets and you know, pennies on the dollar. Even though I do have a wholesaling company, I think they'll get even cheaper as things go down. But just educate yourself on the problems that do happen during a downturn, and you'll be able to solve those problems.
And get ready for it. Start implementing strategies. Start getting that knowledge. Like, what does a foreclosure look like? What is the process for a foreclosure? How can you get ahead of it? How can you be a resource? I mean, I just hired an in-house short sale negotiator. So for a long time, I was outsourcing short sale negotiations, but I'm getting ready. There's, you know, it's not a huge market right now, but I'm getting ready. I'm setting my systems up for that.
And then go around and talk to some cash buyers, people that you know are really buying cash, and say, are you ready for the downturn? And have that conversation with them. And then they're going to be like, yeah, I'm ready. And I'll say, cool, we'll make sure we're in touch when it goes down, because I'm going to be ramping things up.
So would you suggest hoarding cash right now to wait for that downturn?
That's exactly what I'm doing. Besides this event right now, I am hoarding. Anything else? We got more, right?
Question, what does a typical day look like for you in the beginning when you first started wholesaling? What was your typical day?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I used to wake up, I have a studio apartment. I still live in that same studio condo. And I had a desk and a whiteboard. I would sit at my desk. After going to sleep at midnight, I would get up at about 7 o'clock and start working. And I would start making my phone calls at 8. So I would do 100 phone calls between 8 and basically like 10. And then I would go to the courthouse and I would go pull probate leads. And then I would come back and I would take pictures of every single probate lead. I would come back, I would upload them in PDF, and I would write them out in Excel. Every single one, because they had the numbers where we were from. And then at 4:30, I start calling again. I'm going to call another 100 people before 8 o'clock. And that's what I did every single day. And then and any time that I had in between then, I was driving for dollars. And I did that every single day. And then I grew my business where I was making $20,000 a month, $30,000 a month. And then I hired somebody to, when I was going to the courthouse, I was able to upload PDFs to the Philippines, and they put it in Excel for me. I hated Excel. So they did it for me. And now I had fresh numbers to call when I woke up at 7, right? And then I hired somebody to go to the courthouse for me, and then they uploaded to them. So now I just made the phone calls and I went on appointments. And then I hired people to start answering the phones for me. So now I didn't answer the phones. Then I hired people to put out bandit signs for me. And then I hired another person to answer phones. And then I hired a cold caller to start calling out. So now all I was doing at that point was going on these appointments, making pre-appointment phone calls, going on appointments.
But at first you were so obsessed with it that it was all you did.
I did everything in my business. Even when we were making $60,000 and $70,000 a month, it was still just me and Francis and 2 VAs. And then we just started.
Francis is his agent.
Yeah, Francis. So here's what I did with Francis. A lot of people ask. I actually sold Francis his house that he lives in. That's how we met. And he was a flipper and an agent that only dealt with investors. So he managed the flip. He found the flip, managed the flip, sold the flip. That was his whole business, and he ran it out of his house. So when we started doing this, and he did over 100 flips by the time I met him. So when we met, I was like, hey, look, I'm about to get this office. I want to give you office space. Provided value, right? And then he moved in, and I said, well, we should do more deals together. I said, well, can you start running these comps for me? Can you start doing this? Can you go on appointments for me? And I said, look, anything that doesn't turn into a wholesale deal, list it. And we just build and build and build. He's not a business partner of mine, but we have an office. I help him with his social media game on his agency business, and he goes out on appointments for me and manages my rehabs. So it's just a win-win situation for all of us. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
For those of us that still got to work in the meantime, we're hoping like just one more year. But what do you? I'm exhausted. I'm a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, me too. And I'm exhausted. So, you know, I got a rental. It almost killed me last year. Like, and I have lupus, so I almost ended up in the hospital. So how do you scale down for somebody that still got to work?
All right, first I'm going to tell you that regardless of everything you just said, I'm going to tell you to let go of your excuses, because every excuse you can give me is valid. Okay? One, facts. You get off at 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, start making your calls after. Figure out how it works. I mean, I've been working with her. Like, figure out how it works. Regardless, like, you need to become obsessed with it. Yeah, he was broke, like, at that point, so he had the time, and he didn't have a job. He was a struggling agent. So, at the same time, it's like, you have to be willing to sacrifice something. When I started, I had a job, too. Yeah. I mean, and I did 20 deals my first year with a job.
Hustle.
Yeah.
And I think for some like for some strategies, and I get to you and then you. I think for some strategies, if you are busy, truly busy, I just spoke at a school Thursday, I think. So I understand how you can be tired and frustrated. But
and really tired.
Yeah, and really tired. But look at some marketing things that turn outbound marketing efforts into inbound calls. One thing that I would do if I was in your position is I would just put out a crap ton of RVMs and only listen to the voicemails of people that drop, right? So you're literally only going to get the lowest unicorn deals.
RVMs are ringless voicemail systems. He's not going to say it, but I use REI Rail. Max is the one that founded the company. It's the best software that I personally use. So
REI is the truth.
So what something like that does, or even any method, you send out these calls while you're at school or text messages, and it's going to leave a voicemail, and you're going to say there's a script to it, and then if they listen to it and are interested, they're going to call you back. But you're going to still be in school, so they're going to leave a voicemail if they truly are interested. These are people that really haven't been contacted by anybody, and they're truly interested. And then when you get off of school, you contact them and say, hey, look, I'm an investor. I'm also a teacher.
I called you on my lunch break.
Yeah.
I reached out to you in between classes, like I knew you were on my desk or whatever.
That relatability is going to take you over the top, because a lot of, hey, my name is such and such. I'm an investor, but I'm also a school teacher, so I'm calling you on my lunch break. You said you had a house in blah, blah, blah. You were interested in selling? Well, can you tell me more about it? Blah, 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 blah. And then they say, okay, well, can I come see it this weekend?
Or can I see it when I get off of school?
Yeah, or when I get off, yeah. And it works. So
and a lot of times, like even like Chauncey, so Chauncey has a son and he's my acquisition manager. And so Chauncey will take his son on appointments. And Chandler buys more houses than a lot of grown men I know. And he passes way more inspections too. More occupancy permits than anyone else. So yeah, I mean, like don't feel scared. Like at the end of the day, it's like it's a relatability factor. So you can use that to leverage ringless voicemail systems, driving for dollars on your way to school, outside of school. There's different options.
Because what happens is people in your situation look at my current business and think that's what they have to do to get deals. But the reality is, one deal, $7,000 to $10,000 a month, will change your life. You don't need to make $100,000, $120,000 a month. You don't have a staff like I have. Yep. So literally one deal, and that's why I say when you're one deal away, it's because you're literally one deal away from changing your life. Yep. And if you can do that, if you can do a $7,000 deal every other month, by the end of the year, you're ready to quit.
Yeah, I mean, I literally just did one with a guy who has 2 jobs, is struggling, literally found the property, called me, we bought it.
I'm guessing he's in his room.
We bought it. He's not in the room, but someone knows him.
I seen a wink.
That's in the room. So he made $5,000 literally in the span of.
He actually has 3 jobs.
3 jobs. In the span of probably like 2 hours. So we'll close in a week and a couple days. Yeah. So just to show you that regardless of the time, it's like you have the weekends. You're here right now. Like whether that's an hour, 2 hours a day, whatever that looks like.
Turn off the TV.
Yeah. Turn off the TV. I don't have cable in my house. Deactivate your Netflix account. Those things don't add value to your life. Chauncey, I know you wanted to.
No, I just want to touch base on that. So when anybody who knows me, personally knows I'm a social worker by trade. So
See what I mean by community? You guys don't even know, man. It's crazy.
And so to kind of give background, when I met Kristina, I was doing community development for different community organizations. And so Kristina found me and asked me in the middle of me giving a long presentation, suit and tie, and she's sitting there with her hoodie on, and goes, "You want to make some money? Call me after this shit." Right?
That's literally what I said.
And so when I met Kristina, I was running somewhere around 10 groups for adolescents, and I was meeting with teachers to coach, because we were working with
one-on-one.
Yeah, we're working with different programs trying to end the school prison pipeline. I was stretched thin. What happened was this: we came into a situation. Kristina said, "Do whatever you can do," right? And at the time we met, a month in, I was ready to give up. And she's like, "Bro, if you say no to this job," I had a job offer. She said, "I will guarantee
a good job offer.
A very good
job offer.
Yes.
On the table.
With a very prominent school, making a lot of money, literally just to supervise kids. Way more than what our teachers make. I'm sorry." So she goes, "If you leave this job alone and you give me a month of hard work, I got you." I was still doing social work. I still do it now because that's where my passion lies. We actually have a nonprofit where we do this weekly youth. And she said, and within that first month, me only driving for dollars for 30 minutes a day, making 10 phone calls a day, turned to me closing 3 deals that first month. I made 15 grand.
So there's no excuse.
Yeah, so if you really, and ideally I want to say this too, I've wholesaled houses from teachers at schools that I work with. The lady who actually worked under for the nonprofit still, we wholesaled her mother-in-law's house. So whatever your network is, yeah, we can drop for dollars and make those phone calls, but just drop pins within your network and let it be known, hey, I invest in homes, I wholesale homes. And somebody in distress is going to come to you, especially talking about low-income
schools.
Yeah, in low-income careers where, teachers go through problems. They're going to have those issues. If you drop those pins, they will come to you.
And everybody inherits houses, you know what I'm saying? It's just a common thing. So literally telling people what you do is one of the challenges that I had on a 30-day challenge. Tell everybody what you do. When somebody asks you, "Hey, how you doing?" "I'm doing well, but I'm just trying to buy one more house this month." That's just, you're like, what?
I'm doing real good. I'm just trying to buy one more house.
Yeah.
Got something for me?
And it works, believe it or not. It starts conversations with people, and I've known people that wholesaled inside their church.
Yep.
It works.
Yeah. Go ahead. You have a question.
And I just want to say thank you, Max, for keeping me up for 2 days.
It's that beard. It's the beard.
I work overnight. I saw your video. I prayed before I saw your video. I said, "God, I just cannot do this job anymore. I have to get out." I still work overnight. I work at the casino. I saw your video. I was up for 2 days straight. This on YouTube University.
Like it.
Watching everything you said. I went out, I mailed the letters, I did all that stuff. I got 2 deals under contract right now. When I go to work tonight, I have another deal from another co-worker that's trying to get rid of her house. I got the contract and everything. I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
Because I'm quitting my job this year.
And you probably can find some cash buyers at the casino too.
Hey, I see you just won the jackpot.
I see you just bought in for 10 grand. What do you do? Yes, sir.
I'm gonna kind of kick back off my part here about the day-to-day operations. As far, I guess we started out doing direct mail, spent thousands of dollars on that. So we transitioned over to cold calling. So I guess my question is, what would be some of your favorite lists? And then also, how many calls per day? Because we're actually uploading a list to a dialer now to make the cold calls. So
Yeah.
I guess
Are you guys making the calls yourselves?
Sometimes, but we have
Okay, cool.
a small
Okay.
team too.
No, that's perfect. I just want to make sure. So here's the thing, right? And then I'll.
No,
so
go
the
for it.
biggest thing is that we outsource before we're ready. Okay. So if you've never done it, how can you tell her when she's wrong? How can you help? I'm just saying for general, not you in particular, but just in general, especially like when we go to outsource, like for a VA or something, and like when you listen to the calls, you don't know what you would have done differently. So as far as lists go, ListSource, Max has a video on ListSource where you can get 3-cent ListSource, and there's like
Gold.
a 30-day free trial.
Gold. It's
Yeah.
gold. And then cancel it.
That's like gonna cut your costs in like pennies on the dollar, literally.
I've used list source, but I guess more so in depth.
Like what kind of list?
Probates, pre-foreclosure.
Yeah.
Everything
so
works.
Everything works if you work. My question is, how many calls would you make if I was gonna give you 10 grand?
1,000.
So that's your answer. So like and I get this question all the time. People say, how many calls does it take? How many calls should I do a day? As many as you can. And you're gonna create your own barometer of a good day and a bad day.
Yep.
Right? And that's what I did. So people were saying, oh, you should call this much. I knew when I was busting ass, and I knew when I was doing nothing. And this is a good day, this is a bad day. I need to have an average around here, right? And I need to do that every day. Because what are you're gonna quit in 10 days if you don't get enough? So there's no how many should I do? It's I need to keep doing them until I get it. I don't care if it takes me a year, 2 years. I'll make one phone call a day if that's what I can do, right? Or if I can make 1,000 a day, make 1,000 a day. But I really like list source is great. So I have this strategy in my business. I go deep, and I go wide, right? Deep, shit. Deep. I'm getting it together.
Cut that out, please.
Deep is I actually go out and curate lists based upon actual problems.
So probate, divorces, bankruptcy.
Right? You have like mismatch, like dissolved LLCs that own properties. That's one that I've found out that's good. And those are only touched by my in-house team. And we call those all the time. And then we have our wide list, what we get from List Source. 100% equity, 55 plus, absentee owners. There's no identified problem. But those are just moving windows of opportunity. And eventually, if you keep throwing, something's going to go through that window, right? And that's kind of how we do our business. I really like the deep list though.
But the deep list isn't enough. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Right? If you're trying to call 500 dials a day, the deep list is just not enough.
We only do 40 calls a day. Each agent in my team is only responsible for 40 40 attempts on a person a day. Right? And
So
that's
it's like scale. It just depends what your scalability looks like. So, I mean, you want stuff that's like super motivated. Of course, all of us want super motivated leads, but then there's also that moving target. And what happens a lot of times, because I know you touched on direct mail. So what happens a lot of time is that we're direct mailing to absentee owners, no motivation. Of course it's gonna flop. Everyone's mailing to that list. So you need a lead stock. Figure out, it could be an absentee owner, but do they have a dissolved LLC and they're going through bankruptcy? That's 3 motivations. They're highly motivated.
How many of you guys go to eviction court?
No.
And just go sit there?
One person.
You talking about a sea of problems? Like how long does it take to evict somebody here?
30 days.
30 days. How long have they been going out with rent before they get there? So at least 1 month,
Yeah, 1 month.
right?
It depends on.
So they're at least 2-3 months, no rent.
Mine is 15th day, you're getting a notice.
House is probably tore up, and they ain't got money in so long. Go sit in the courtroom and just literally listen to these people's problems. Write down who the owner is, because they're going to name the plaintiff and the defendant, and go after them. Because I can't, a landlord is most motivated at that point. They are fed up.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Where you at? Sorry.
Back there. Yeah, it's loud.
My name is Charles. I invest on the east side, Illinois, Belleville, Swansea area, East St. Louis area. If you guys need to network with anybody over there. I'm a hands-on guy. I'm an electrician. My question is, how do I convert the leads that I get from like the courthouse, from my different lists, to the PDF, to get the owner's information? That's where I'm stuck at. I got thousands of addresses, code violations, but I don't know how to convert it over to get to the
Kristina's got you on this.
Okay, so what I'm gonna have everyone do here, so there's 2 apps that I like. One is called Deal Machine. It's $50 a month. There's a coupon code for it that I like. The thing I like about that one is that you can upload a picture and you can send postcards directly through there. However, there's another app that's $15 a month. It's called Driving $4. That's literally what it's called. And it's $15 a month. So every address that you have, you can literally type it in there, okay? It'll drop pings, and then you can export the file, and the file is gonna pull from the county assessor's website.
By itself. By itself?
Yes. Automatically. Huh? It's that simple. I'm telling y'all be overcomplicating shit.
I love networking with people like this. But the thing about it is I get flooded with messages about people saying, hey, I have the perfect schematic for you to get leads, but you got to pay me this much. I know what my personal opinion is about that. What do you suggest to everybody else? Because I tell everybody like this. You get your hands dirty, and you sit there and you do it yourself, you know all the knowledge. But then again, there's a lot of people that want to take the easy way, pay the money, and then down the road, they feel like they're taking advantage of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. They're going to be gone. Like, the turnover in this business is crazy, man. Like, literally, half of you guys won't be doing this in 3 months.
Right.
In this room right now. Dead serious. Right? There's a difference. You got to get your hands dirty. You can't just go buy. Why would somebody sell you a lead that's going to make $10,000 for 20 bucks? Does that make sense to you? Right? You know, get what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't make sense. I see it all the time. You know, I run the Facebook group Wholesaling Houses Elite. There's 74,000 members in that group. I do my best to kick people out, right? I don't even want it. I kicked you out?
Yeah, because
I didn't kick you out, but listen, I literally, it wasn't me. It was done through my direction. What happened though? I don't know what happened.
Remember in the beginning you started making your videos and you're like, all right, my vacant list, right? This is my secret list. I'm not going to tell anybody I make $30,000 a month off this list. I was like on Bigger Pockets Scare and I was bored. And I remember I was like one of your top contributors on your Facebook group. I mean, the status of my K-Max is in your water vacancy list, right? And I said that and you like immediately kicked me out. You're like, what are you doing? You want the competition? You want to lose?
I said that?
Yeah. And
cool. I mean, no, I don't remember. But if you said I sent you a message, but I eventually did put the list out. So you probably can come back now. It's like, hey, I got a secret list. Is it your water list?
It's supposed to be a secret.
Did you make money on the list yet?
When I did it with one of the counties here, they gave me the addresses, but they didn't give me the name. So when I tried to use REI Skip, it was hard for me because
So you gave up?
Yeah.
But do you know how simple it was to go to the next step?
I literally just told you how to do it.
But you could have done it by hand like I used to do. The tax or web.
Whatever.
Do it yourself. You can't outsource something you don't know how to do.
890
You find out how to do it.
$10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000. Don't fuck with me right now.
It's money. That's what I mean. You got to get your hands dirty, man. And it's just, I'm not picking on you because a lot of people do the same thing. You found the water list that I told you I make $30,000 a month off of. You figured it out. You got the list from the city, which most people can't even do, and then you said, I gotta literally type every person. I quit. You're telling me, now here's the crazy shit. If I told you I was gonna pay you $25 an hour, sit on this desk and type every single, you would do it. Change your mindset, man. Change it. Change your mindset.
I'll buy that list.
You see what I mean? So the thing is that, and listen, and this is, I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to a lot of people in this room when I'm saying this. It's common. Right. It's common. I showed you a list that I'm making 30 grand off of and you decided to quit. But if I paid you $25 an hour, you would do it for me. And that's where I'm want to get people, because I can sit up here and tell you exactly, I can write down my exact business plan for everybody in here. One person would do it.
I would.
One person would do it, right? And it's because the dirt, people are afraid of that dirt side. But it works, man. It works.
Yeah. I don't know where we're at now.
Yeah,
just a couple more questions.
Go ahead. I haven't heard from you.
So I have a question or some advice on bulk buying. We have a seller who want to buy 5 homes. Or he want to sell 5 homes.
Mm-hmm.
So would it be 5 different contracts? Or would
That's how I do it.
So it depends. So it depends, but yeah. So if you're getting started, always put it on 5 separate contracts, because if your end buyer is 5 different people.
Okay.
Because it's hard if you have it 5 on one contract and then you have 2 end buyers. now you have to go redo the contracts and all this kind of stuff.
Go ahead. I do it simply because one deal, one house doesn't close, it messes up the whole contract. So I literally say, listen, to you it doesn't, but I blame anything you have a problem with, blame it on your title or attorney company. I would love to buy all 5 houses, but my title company or my attorney wants them in 5 separate contracts. It's just the way the law is.
And they
just
can
the way,
all be on the same HUD.
and you probably do want it like that. I don't know.
I think you just made a point. I want you to reemphasize. You close with your title company.
Correct.
Anybody else?
100%. I literally turn away buyers all the time. You don't play with my game? I got the gold. You either want to do it my way or not. If you go to my website, it tells you exactly what you have to do to work with us.
Mm-hmm.
You have money, but so does a lot of other people.
Go ahead.
So I was a software engineer before I got into business. How can I best use that skill set to my advantage?
Man, that's
Build a system, I don't know.
yeah. So what you have to find something that it's going to be on the data side. Find something that is not scalable, and with software, make it scalable. Like this guy just said, he got a list of 8,000 addresses, but he couldn't find the homeowner. Literally, somebody for $15 a month, which is if you do $15 a month times 10,000 people, you're making a lot of money. So the point that I'm making is, he literally took the software and wound up the county records with the address and put it in an Excel sheet.
Do you know how to build robots?
Bots.
Bots?
Not
Okay.
robots.
Okay.
But
so it's something you can do something similarly.
sell picks and shovels during the gold rush. That's all I want to say.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
When you spoke about the dissolved LLCs,
Yes, ma'am.
how do you find them?
So in my state, you can do a search on the Secretary of website for all the corporations that have dissolved. So what we do is I can actually search the corporations by, just say the whole state. And then what I do is I run that state against, so if one list I would tell you to get, if you can't get it from your county, which we get it from our county for free, is all the properties in the entire county. That's a great Excel sheet to get. And you run a macro against any of the dissolved LLCs with property owners. Like we have, so that list.
It's called a lead stack. Basically, you lead stack, and then you see which one is on 2 Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah. So it's simple. You can either buy the macro, somebody can build it for you for $20. Basically, you can do it like that too. But there's an import. I use Property List Manager on certain things, but this one, there's a master list for your county. We update it once a month. You know, and that's the list of every house in the county, every owner, everything, and that's our master database, and we run a lot of things against that database. But the reason why I do dissolve LLCs is because you have to pay, in my state, you have to pay a yearly fee, and partnerships dissolve, people dissolve, and it's usually the first sign of somebody not keeping up their company books or anything like that. And if they own property, that's probably a pipeline of that. They didn't pay the $200 fee, they probably didn't pay the taxes, they probably got this property sitting here, and it's an early telltale sign of financial difficulty.
Motivation of some sort. Yeah. Anything else? Try.
Yes, sir.
So I know I haven't been doing it for too long, but at the same time I want to say to actually learn something. To me, that means doing it for about 5 years or so. I've been doing it for about 1 year or so now. We've completed about 5 deals or so. But whenever you were starting out, were there any podcasts or YouTube stuff that you recommend for somebody starting out like me?
I think it's changed. I think 2 years ago when I started this business, 2 years and some change, there wasn't anybody out there giving out information. And in the last year, since I've blown up on YouTube, everybody gives out information. So there's a lot more noise out there because people want to give out information to sell something. So, you know, you really got to take your time and see what personality of a person you like and follow their stuff. But only pick 1 or 2 people. Don't go search every video. And make sure the person that you're actually watching does deals.
Yeah.
That's very important. And you got to make sure they're an operator in their business. A guru, I like to call them. Or find somebody in your local market that will give you all the gems. Like I leave my title company, my attorney, and there's people parked out front waiting. And they're like, yeah, Max, I just closed a deal with your attorney. And it's somebody that I helped in my, literally, it's happened to me 20 plus times. People in my city that are closing deals based off the information I'm giving, because the information I'm giving is real specific to my city and my county.
How you doing, Max? Big fan.
Thank you, brother.
Me and my girl came down here from Chicago.
Wow. Is that a long drive?
4 hours.
4 hours? Thanks, man.
Kind of nervous. That didn't help.
It's okay, take your time. You're not on camera. It's fine.
We haven't closed a deal yet.
Uh-huh.
When we do, say hypothetically, we make $5.
When you close a deal and make $5,000, speak things into existence.
What do I do with the $5,000?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Put it in the bank and don't spend it. Because the same thing you did to get the first deal with no money, you're going to do the same thing again the second deal, and the third deal, and then the fourth deal. And then when you got money to actually go out and implement something at a scale, then you do that.
And you're just gonna reverse engineer that same deal. And that's what people always tell me, like, I'm doing 1-2 deals a month. I'm like, okay, what'd you do to get that 1 or 2 deals? What was their motivation? Not they were tax delinquent. What else was there? Like, dig so deep into your leads that you know that person inside and out, and you can go find someone just like that person again and again and again. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you don't have to, and he's right, you don't have to spend any of that money. You don't have to, I mean, if you want to come, you know, let's say you just close in the next week or so.
And you want to come to the event? That's different. But no, literally.
Come on now.
When I closed my first deal, I reverse engineered it. I found it driving for dollars. It was vacant. It was tax delinquent, and it was a probate. So you can guess where I focused my business on for the next year. And that's how I started. That's how I got so good with probate and tax delinquent, because I was like, okay, I just made $14,000 from this problem. Let me dive deep and see if I can identify more of these exact problems.
And I mean, start going, you're not here in St. Louis, so I'm just gonna tell you a couple things that we do here locally. So start going to the RIA meetings, start getting on Facebook, start finding some buyers, figure out what the buyers want, and reverse engineer that as well. Just be like, hey, what are you looking for? Like, figure out what they're looking for, and then literally go find it.
And in this room right now, there's lots of buyers. I know.
Oh, there's a shit ton.
There are a lot of buyers. You ready to buy?
I'm ready to buy.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you're a buyer in this hand and you feel comfortable raising your hand, do so at this point. Right? These are people with cash. These are people with. And he said he got class. You close Friday.
Yeah, and there is a private money, hard money lender. Patrick is a hard money and private money lender. Yeah. So, anyway.
So we'll take a couple more questions, and then I want everybody to start mingling with each other, because that's the main purpose of being here, right? So just give me a few minutes. We'll answer a couple questions, and then you guys can talk. So raise your hand now. Yes, ma'am.
All right, my name is Shante Hawthorne.
Hey guys.
Give me a couple minutes, everybody. Couple minutes.
Okay, so my name is Shante Hawthorne. Love the group.
Thank you so much.
So much for that. Kristina is the best. So I just got my real estate license. I hear all the time how it's beneficial to have an investor-friendly realtor on your team. So I know I can be of value to people who invest, but I'm just trying to figure out how. What's the value I can provide with my license as well?
So she started, so she started as, initially, she was trying to wholesale. And then she got connected with a lot of people here in St. Louis and decided to get her license. So the best way for an agent that dynamic is that you can help. You don't have to be married to everybody, okay? So that's the thing that people are like, oh, I need to be married to one agent. And I can be, I can be with a bunch of agents. So I always position myself of maybe off-market specialist to other people, to buyers. Like, hey, I can bring you deals that aren't on the MLS, just from networking with other wholesalers or however you want to bring them those deals. Also, MLS data. My biggest thing is, yes, she just announced this to a group, but not everybody go to her and be like, hey, can you comp this property? Don't do that, please. That is such a waste of time and energy.
Because you don't need it. It's an old way of practice.
And a lot of times people are like, oh, Zillow or whatever. Zillow's crap. No, Zillow has all the data that you need. Don't use the Zestimate, but go onto the sold.
And see what's sold.
Yeah, and just go to the sold part. So with that, I mean, just don't give out comps for free. Like, don't do that because that's a waste of your time and energy. But build like solid relationships with people who are buying. Like, people who you can represent, not just on MLS transactions, but non-MLS transactions, where maybe Marion will bring you a deal and you find a buyer for him on a wholesale transaction and he pays you. So what I do is your average buyer's agent commission is 2.7. So I always say if you bring me a buyer, I'll pay you 3%. So that's just my...
Because MLS buyers to me are the best buyers. They flip 1 or 2 homes a year. They overpay according to like a guy that flips 10 or 12.
And is buying direct from wholesaling.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think that's probably a couple different things. Also, she's on a team with a short sale specialist, so if anyone needs any help with short sales, that would be the person to talk to as well to list your short sales.
Perfect. Let's do a couple more questions, then we'll network.
Go ahead, you've been next. You know.
I had a question. I know at the beginning you mentioned that you sold a house to a USDA buyer, and I was just interested to know, for starters, I work at the USDA.
Okay.
In the daytime. Is there a niche in that rural community? I mean, is there a way that you can leverage access to that type of information?
I'm sure if I knew what you had access to, I'm pretty sure I could find some use to it. We listed the property on the MLS and it sold to somebody that had a USDA
That was
loan.
the end buyer.
That was the end buyer. But
I mean, if it's a USDA loan, it's generally a rural type community. So
that you're teaching me something. I didn't know that.
population 35,000 and under.
That's his town.
No, it's not.
Outside? Was it outside?
It was outside the town. It was in a smaller town.
So that's what it is.
Yeah, so it does make sense. I didn't know that. Okay. But I think as you educate yourself in the wholesaling more and deeper and deeper, you're going to see the knowledge that you have in that section of the world, how it can cross over into the wholesale. And you're going to find something like, oh, I just found something, and you're going to make a lot of money and leave your job. You'll find it. You and then, go ahead.
So you were talking about probate earlier. That's a good question because that follows up with, I have a cold call or I cold call, and with probate it's a little bit sensitive.
Why?
Is there a good?
Why?
What's sensitive about it?
When you call them and then they're just distressed because I guess for whatever reason when I call these leads, it's like they recently just died or like a family member died or their husband died, or, you know, and it's.
How are you opening the call?
I just say, hey, my name's Trevor. I was just driving around the neighborhood. I saw your guys' property, and I'm interested.
That's how, yeah.
That's how I would do it too.
I don't really mention the whole.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't.
Yeah, isn't it? I've done that before. The first mistake, first 7th call, I did that, and then after the 7th call, I realized this is really stupid.
Yeah. So you know, I had a lady break down on the phone with me the other day and bawled her eyes out. But I've called a lot of probate deals, and she was probably one of 3 that done it to me. Most of the time, what happens is, at least in my state, when somebody passes away, there's this period of grief, and then they realize, I got to get to business, and they go start to file paperwork. At that point, they're pretty much over the grieving period, and they know that there's, hey, I actually got to do some business stuff here. So I don't run into that much. Don't let it deter you. Say, I apologize for your loss. I'm sorry to hear that.
If they bring it up.
If they bring it up, correct. Yeah, if they start to cry, say, look, I apologize. I mean, I was
just driving by.
Yeah, and say, look, you know, maybe now's not the right time. You know, I'll give you some time to grieve. You can call me, or I'll try you a little bit later. Call her a couple weeks.
And just follow up with a text message as well. Like, hey, I know we just talked. I know it's not a good time, but here's my number. If you need anything, feel free to reach out.
Yeah.
And that's one of my biggest things. I always follow up with a text message. Yeah.
I think we have
one more.
So real quick, there was a sign-in sheet. A lot of people came late. We're trying to build some more community here, and so like everybody we're recording the video of this. So if anybody didn't catch some gold nuggets, like, and I just want to say thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Kristina, for putting this on. And Larry's offered to like let everybody have a week of free co-working here next quarter.
Definitely should take advantage of
If you
it.
didn't get a pass, come see me. Also, if you want to continue to network, but you want a little bit more space because it seems kind of crowded here, we have additional rooms back here, so you can come back and kind of weave your way back and find a comfortable sofa or chair or table to talk.
Cool.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Absolutely, yeah. Appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you. What's up, bro? I do. How you been, brother? He put me on you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Hey, I just started calling you, man, but hey, you doing your thing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your support.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I Facebook all over the. Okay.
Women Wholesaling Houses group.
Awesome. How you doing? Nice to meet you.
I want to say thank you for all the information.
Thank you